Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and today I am at Pedernales Falls State Park in central Texas between Austin and Fredericksburg. Here is a map of the park. Here are the campgrounds, and there's an access to the river here. There's also an access to the river down this road for the people who are not using the campgrounds. The falls area is up here. That's where I am now. So I'm now going to take you down to see the Pedernales Falls. This is the river below the falls. And the falls, as you can see, are mostly just rocks with patches of water here and there. And zoom in, see the water there. It's a series of water puddles, actually. And you can walk down and hike across the rocks there. Here's another overlook point without so many trees in the way. Now you can barely hear the rippling of the water going down the falls, and of course the falls are not terribly dramatic here. There's a large body of water way down there. Now I don't know why, but they do not allow swimming in the river at this point. And this looks like an ideal place to swim. You've even got beaches along here where the places where you can swim are all very rocky. But looks like I would call this a beach on the river. And there's even an island that you could swim to if they would let you swim down there. There's a bunch of people down there now. This is not on a weekend, so on the weekends there's probably a lot more people here. But I just talked to the ranger, and he said the reason they don't allow swimming here is because when they have a flash flood, even though people are told if the water is rising to get out, they just stay there in the water and they get washed downstream and they drown. They have had quite a few people drown in the river here during flash floods because the power of the water just washes them downstream and where they can't swim, and people are, like I said, people are drowned. So that's the policy, just as a safety for the people, even though it's really kind of rare that it floods here. But he told me that he has seen the river so high that you can't see any of these rocks. It gets completely covered in water when they're having a flash flood, when there's heavy rains here or upstream. Here's a close-up view of the big pond. So you can see how the water makes its way down to the lower river there. Here's a wider view of the area below the falls. In fact, here is a sign that tells you about what can happen in a flash flood, if you can read that. They have these steps built down to the viewpoint, and a little ways going down to the falls, but at some point you're just on a little dirt trail. There are several falls here. There's a little one here. There's one over here. And this may be the main falls here. which goes down to another set of falls between the rocks right there. But like I said, there are no big dramatic falls here, just several small ones. But it's a very beautiful place. This part of the river here is called the Trammel Crossing, and it's a very shallow river. Right in the middle there, it only comes up to about my knees. And you can see down there the rocks sticking up in the middle of the river. There's another popular swim area down there. And over here, as you can see, that there's a lot of rocks right in the middle of the river that stick up. Now this river has been known to flood, but most of the time it's a very shallow river like this. And it's in a very lovely location with all the trees lining the river. This is further up the river towards the falls, where the water gets about as deep as my shoulders at most. Those strange looking trees along the river. This is on a Tuesday, so there's very few people down here today. You have to be really careful walking along the river. It's a little bit slippery in places, and it's very rocky on the bottom. Another thing, the water here is so shallow that here it is in the middle of the summer and the water is very warm. If it was about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet deep, then you would have some cold water down there, but not here. It's just too shallow. This is what most of the river is like most of the time. Very shallow, and see all these rocks? That's just from it being such a shallow river. All up and down the river, you see these rocks in the middle. This is another part of the park that is called the Twin Falls section. Although I kind of missed finding the Twin Falls hiking down here. You have to hike down quite a long ways. And by the way, one thing I don't like about this park is that you have to walk so far from the campground and go down a big cliff to get to where you can get into the water. And when I'm camping someplace on a river or a lake, I like to go out and dip in the water several times a day to cool off. But here, it's so far to where you have to go that by the time you get back to your campsite, you're going to be hot and sweaty all over again, so it doesn't do much good to come down and try and cool off. Well, that was my day at Pedernales Falls State Park. If you're coming through here, I would suggest that you camp just one night, and as soon as you get here, you go to the 2 swimming areas that I showed you, and then the next morning you come down to the falls area. And you could actually drive your RV down to the falls parking lot here. So if you're in the area, I think would enjoy your day stay here. Good day, folks.